Hello, I am Attorney Regal Oliva, and it's good to be back here in CCTN. And I am the new president of the Cebu Lady Lawyers Association Incorporated, or CELIA. And this day we will be discussing about the importance of the Integrated Bar of the Philippines, or the IBP. In Cebu, there are two chapters, and these chapters are Cebu City and the Cebu chapters of the IBP. And we will be discussing the plans, the mission, the objectives of the IBP, and their programs maybe for the benefit of all lawyers. So tonight I will start off with the president of the IBP Cebu City Chapter, the newly inducted. He was vice president also in the previous board of officers. I'd like to welcome in the show Attorney Jimbo Hernaez. Good evening, or shall we say good day, Jimbo.
Maayong adlaw, Attorney Regal.
Maayong adlaw.
Thank you for the invitation, and to everyone, happy Araw ng Kagitingan.
Happy Araw ng Kagitingan, Happy Easter. It's been a long holiday, and we are anticipating busier days in the coming months. Right,
yes,
Jimbo?
yes, especially for the lawyers, no?
Yeah.
We are not used to this long of a break, but
Correct.
everybody needed a break.
That's true. So Jimbo, you tell me, Jimbo, what is the mission of IBP? Why is IBP really created for lawyers?
Attorney Regal, since its inception in 1973, the mission of the IBP, or Integrated Bar of the Philippines, has always been to elevate the standards of the legal profession, to improve the dispensation of justice, and to enable the bar to discharge its public responsibility more effectively.
You know, I have heard, or I've seen, that the Cebu City chapter is one of the top 3 best chapters, or top 3 most active chapters in the country. And you also have played a very vital role in it because you're vice president of the previous board. So you tell me, what are your plans for the new board that you will be leading?
Attorney Regal, Cebu Island actually is blessed with 2 of the most active IBP chapters. And for the Cebu City chapter, in line with the mission of the IBP to elevate the standards of the legal professions, we have always been consistent in our seminars, in our MCLEs. And for the Cebu City chapter, we have our kapihans, the purpose of which is to continue the education and to updates to our lawyers of the current and relevant rules and jurisprudence, and also to improve the administration of justice. We have a wonderful relationship with the bench. So included in this relationship, there are methods to try and to be more efficient.
Kung musulti ganit bench, kung sabihin nating bench, we refer to the judges.
Yes.
Okay, the judges of the or the justices of the Supreme Court, of the Court of Appeals, and also of the judges of the different courts in our country. So they're called the bench, and the bar are the lawyers who are practicing.
Yes.
Right? Oh, sige. Okay, just for the sake of our televiewers who are not lawyers also, and I'd like to learn what IBP is all about.
Yes, to continue with that statement, we have a great relationship with the bench here in Cebu City. Our judges, our justices, including the other government offices. So what we do is we try and figure out where the bottlenecks are. And for the Cebu City chapter, we have our Humanity Behind Bars project, which is a data management project.
Tell
Especially
us
now,
about the Humanity Behind Bars.
Yes, especially now, since the thrust of the Supreme Court is more on a technologically driven Supreme Court, or dispensation of justice. So information is key, and data management plays a very vital role in the administration of justice. So what the chapter does is that we get the information from our city jails, from the courts, and see how we can assist, either through bringing up the court dates, or just trying to figure out how we can help. So data management, especially now, is very, very important.
So they say, Manggod, that justice in the Philippines is very slow. And justice delayed is justice denied. Diba? So, karon nga, ato na ning i-advance into technological advancement ang ato ang mga korte o ato ang mga system in the justice system of our country. Are we assured nga ang justice sa ato ang hustisya, sa ato ang komunidad, sa ato ang nasod, mas mupaspas because of technology?
I think so, yes, because from the old traditional methods, I think as we shift towards more technologically driven data management for the administration of justice, it is important to know the numbers and where it slows down, where we can speed everything up. And sometimes what we just need is the right information in order for the bench, including the bar, to act on where we lag behind or where slow down.
Kay makita gid nato, no? Kung mo ato tag korte, makita gid nato ang mga files sa atong mga huwis.
Yes.
Daghan jud kaayo. Ang uban gani dili na masulod sa ilang mga opisina. Ang mga korte kay uban mga abogadong mohatag og ebidensya og mohatag sila mga pleadings by the thousands of pages.
Oh, tino.
And you are a practicing lawyer, Attorney James.
I am. I've been a practicing lawyer for around 13 years already.
Wow.
So I am witness to all the thousands of pleadings and papers that are filed in court, and sometimes this would cause a slowdown of the justice system.
So
Not
when you say 13 years of practice, unsa gyud nakita nimong makapadugay sa ato ang hustisya sa pag-deliver sa hustisya diri sa ato ang nasod?
Personally, I think we just need more courts, no?
Okay.
The Filipinos are very litigious, so because of the dali ra maduulan ang korte, ang abogado pod willing mutabang, it's very easy to file cases. So we could address that at the grassroots through the mediation and the lupon. But also when the cases are already filed in courts, it's just for the courts to monitor and perhaps to speed up all this dispensation of justice.
Wow.
We just need more courts and more
Okay.
judges.
So and what has the Supreme Court done about this? Have they created more courts aside from technologically embarking on such systems?
I think there are requests already for additional courts. I'm hoping that the Supreme Court is acting on the requests.
Okay.
Especially we need more prosecutors also. That's a big deficiency because most of these cases are criminal cases, drugs cases. So we need more drugs court, especially here in Cebu, because they are dealing with the thousands of cases. So we have to address that problem also.
So when you say more courts, more prosecutors, do we need more lawyers in this country?
I think you can never have enough lawyers. No?
But they say, Attorney Jimbo, na if you have so many lawyers, kanalaging in one organization, if you have a lawyer in that organization, it's very hard to move. It's slow because lawyers tend to block every plan of an organization because they tend to see the pros and cons of the whole objective or mission. So unsa man gyud ni ang mga abogado ba, what's their use gyud? Do we really need lawyers in the country to make it faster or to make projects faster or just to make it slower?
I don't think it's about whether it's faster or slower. It should be better. No? I think the function of lawyers especially is to ferret out the truth, the facts. It's always about how do we go about it the best way. I think it's because of it's a more democratic approach. So lawyers are there to help to filter all the what is necessary and to make sure that the output is always the best.
You know, Attorney James, as they say, one of the busiest IBP chapters in the Philippines is the chapter you're holding, Cebu City Chapter. I wonder, with the litigation lawyer that you are now, and I'm sure you're handling so many cases. You're a dad of how many children?
I have 3 kids.
You have 3 kids, all young.
They are
I
all
suppose.
young, yes.
Okay, so all young, and the other has just celebrated her birthday, so happy birthday to her. How do you balance your time as a family man, a career man, and now you're heading the lawyers organization in Cebu City?
I've yet to figure that out actually, you know. But I am blessed with a board which is very much capable, and they are willing to assist in the chapter, one of the most active chapters in the country. And as a parent, of course, I always make time for my kids. So,
That's nice. That's nice. I think that's very important also.
foremost, of course, is my professional responsibilities to my clients. So the Cebu City chapter will take care of itself actually.
Okay, now I would like to ask a very controversial question. Rank 1, 2, 3. Your clients, your family, and the chapter.
Of course, it's my family, no?
Okay. Family tops, number 1, and which is second?
My clients. Because I cannot feed my family without my clients.
Okay, so we will go for family, clients, and then the chapter.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, the chapter or the IBP is a mandatory organization of all lawyers. In other words, once you are admitted to the bar, once you pass the bar, and you become a lawyer, you take your oath and you sign the roll of attorneys, you will immediately become a member of the IBP. So right now, Attorney Jimbo, how many lawyers are members of your chapter, of the Cebu City chapter?
From the last count, it was almost around 1,500 lawyers, I think, for the Cebu chapter.
Okay.
And I'm expecting a lot more come next week when the bar results will be coming.
Oh yes. We have April
14.
April 14 will be the date of
The releasing of the bar exam
releasing of the bar.
results.
That will be tomorrow.
So good luck to all bar takers.
Yes, tomorrow, good luck to all bar takers. I'm sure the bar takers right now are in their own isolation, praying, and whatever they're doing. Some might be partying even. So whatever is their outcome, we hope that it will be for the best for everyone and for the country. Now, Attorney Jimbo, during the pandemic, one of the most affected professions, is the legal profession or the lawyer.
Yes, that's right.
You tell us about it. The pandemic has had fresh wounds, and I'm sure a lot of people do not like to hear about what pandemic has brought them. But let's just recall, because they would say, lawyers, because the lawyers are well compensated, they are charging much to their clients. But what has the lawyers experienced during the pandemic?
I can only speak of my experience, no. But this is sometimes a misconception that all lawyers are well compensated. But actually, most of the lawyers are dependent on their appearance fees and the day-to-day fees that they receive from their clients. So during the pandemic, since the courts were closed and there were very few clients, so it was difficult for most of the lawyers since there would be no court appearances, so there would be no
Yes, because courts were closed.
Yes, courts were closed for several months. So magawas ni siya no work, no pay. So that's the truth of the matter is some lawyers are very dependent on the day-to-day.
Morning, mga lawyers, especially who are doing private practice.
Yes.
We're not saying that the lawyers who are connected with government, because there are a lot also.
There are a lot of lawyers
because a lot of lawyers are connected to government, and they're also still receiving their salaries.
Yes.
Yes, but for the lawyers, especially you,
yes,
for
the practitioners like me who are dependent on the appearance fees, it was difficult, no? But thankfully,
as in tighten your belts, good.
I think everybody did, no?
Yes,
Not
yes.
just the lawyers.
Yes, that's true. That's true. That's why karon that the community and the country and the global society is already more of opening their doors. Although the pandemic has not yet been really called into a halt, but now it's being opened. What is your? I'll take on your personal life now, huh? What's your revenge right now? Because a lot of people are doing revenge travel, revenge
Yes.
shopping. What is the revenge of Jimbo Ornaez?
Actually, I haven't thought about it yet
Yeah,
because for most of the lawyers, the pandemic was very traumatic in terms of finances. So, di sa ta magpalabi gastos kay wata kibaw na it may happen again. So, we're trying to recoup whatever it is that we.
So you're still not doing in the revenge
Not
part?
yet,
Because
not
I was already in my revenge shopping. I'm already in my revenge travel. So
No,
for Jimbo, not yet.
Not yet. I have 3
When are you
kids.
doing your revenge?
Hopefully, maybe next year. No?
Oh wow, okay.
So I have 3 kids, so I'll try to recoup first whatever it is that I lost during the pandemic.
So you lost a lot. You would say. In your day-to-day living as a lawyer, did you lose a lot during pandemic?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
I think all of us did. No, the lot of the loss of opportunity, the loss of whatever it is we could have gained during those times. So we've learned from those experiences. So it's better to have savings for whatever it is that may come. No?
That's nice. And I think it goes for everyone also. That's an advice also of Attorney Jimbo that, we save and we move forward.
Yes.
Now, moving forward also for your, as the new president or, the inducted president of the IBP Cebu City Chapter, what is the plan that is unique with the previous board that you have?
What would be unique from my administration is that we'd like to follow the footsteps of the Supreme Court in a more technologically driven administration of justice. So we're looking for plans and means in order to incorporate technology in our local setting. So lisod pa rin sa siya because lawyers sometimes are very apprehensive of change, especially for technologically driven change. So little by little, we'll try to incorporate that in the chapter.
That's true, and it's very important also to have technology in almost all of the organizations that we are connected in. And yes, as we've said, technology can make it faster, and I just hope that there are so many speculations, Attorney James, that AI or the artificial intelligence would replace lawyers. And they said also that one of these days the world will not need lawyers anymore. And what is your take on this one? And before we will make you answer this, we would now pause for a few minutes for a break. And this time, when we come back, we will now hear and you will now see my next guest, who will be the president of the other chapter, Mike Hubahib. And so we're back. Welcome back to Partners in Law of the Cebu Lady Lawyers Association Incorporated. This is your host again, Regal Oliva, and this time I have the president of the IBP Cebu Chapter. And earlier we had Attorney Jimbo Ornaez, the inducted president of the Cebu City Chapter, and this time we have the Cebu Chapter, Mr. Mike or Attorney Mike Hubahib. Hi, Mike. How are you?
Hi, Attorney Regal. Good evening. And good evening to all the listeners there. And by the way, congratulations on your
election
as
president
the new
of
president of the
Yes, and congratulations to you too.
Thank you.
Were just like Jimbo, you were vice president also of the Cebu Chapter.
Yes.
Now you tell me about Cebu Chapter. What's the difference between Cebu City and the Cebu Chapter for the IBP?
Well, during the past terms, both chapters had their own unique spin on their.
But let's talk about the coverage first, the jurisdiction of both chapters.
Basically, if you look at the names of the chapters, it's Cebu City and the Cebu Chapter. Basically, Cebu City probably covers the Cebu City, or serve Cebu City.
Yeah.
While Cebu covers mostly the whole province of Cebu. But technically speaking, both chapters have been serving not only Cebu City has been serving outside Cebu City in the provinces of Cebu, and Cebu province also has served in Cebu
So
City.
to clear this up, to clear this notion, Cebu province is not exclusively, or Cebu chapter is not exclusively for the province alone, and they
Yes, of
cannot.
course. Yes, of
so
course.
both chapters can serve anywhere, huh?
Yes.
And then even if you are not from Cebu City, if you are not a resident of Cebu City, and for example, I am a resident of Mandaue City, but I'm a member of Cebu City chapter. So that can happen.
That can happen, and guess what? I am a member. I'm the president of Cebu Chapter, but I am a resident of Cebu City.
Oh, there you go. So, let's correct the notion na may territorial jurisdiction ang mga chapters.
No, there's none.
Okay, there's none. And why is it that the IBP decided to make 2 chapters in a certain province? Like, because most of the provinces, like for example, let's say IBP Negros, there's only 1 chapter. There's only 1 chapter for the whole island of Negros, and that includes Bacolod, Silay. There's so many cities in Negros and Dumaguete. And now the president right now, or the former president was, or the 2 presidents already are from Dumaguete City.
Yeah.
Correct,
Yeah,
di ba?
yeah.
And so, why is it that Cebu, the Cebu Island, has 2 chapters?
2 chapters. Well, to answer that question, we have to trace back. We have to go back to 1973 when
Okay.
the IBP chapters were created. Based on the charter and the bylaws of the IBP, for every 500 lawyers, you are entitled to 1 delegate. And during that time, Cebu had plenty of lawyers.
Oh,
So
there you
it would be difficult to just create 1 chapter for all those many lawyers. So, like for example, in Manila, Manila has actually 4 chapters: Manila 1, Manila 2, Manila 3, Manila 4.
Correct.
There's also even there's the Quezon City chapter, and there are several
But
chapters.
Quezon City chapter is the biggest chapter.
It is the biggest chapter.
Yes, Quezon City has 4,000.
Yeah.
4,000 members, and Cebu chapter, the chapter you're heading, has how many lawyers?
Right now, we have around 2,300 members. We're just actually both Cebu City and Cebu Chapter have almost the same number of members. And going back to the reason why there were 2 chapters created for Cebu, again, there were a lot of lawyers back then. So because but the sheer number of increase of the lawyers, as you said, there are about 2,500 in Cebu province. There might be another 2,000 plus in Cebu City. Do we need another chapter in Cebu Island? I would, well, for now, I think 2 chapters would suffice, since both chapters actually are doing quite well.
Okay.
In the recent national convention, the 50th anniversary of the IBP, during the 19th national convention of lawyers, both chapters actually garnered the most number of awards and recognitions.
Correct. If you just jive it all together, I think the Cebu Island has the most
Yes, it
number of awards.
Yes.
And there are 2 chapters in outside Manila who is part of top 3, and that's the top 3 were Cebu City, Cebu Province, and Quezon City.
Quezon City.
So that's how active the lawyers are in Cebu Province and Cebu City. Now you tell me, Mike, what for you? As you serve the board for how many years already, or for how many terms?
Actually, just for this is my 3rd term.
Your 3rd term. Okay, so for the first term that you were serving, IBP was at what position?
Well, when I started serving, I was a neophyte lawyer. I wasn't even 1 year in practice.
Okay. And
So,
you were already an officer of the
yeah.
board. Wow.
Luckily.
Okay. And you were at the first position that you handled for IBP?
Well, my first position was public relations officer.
Oh, you're the PRO, and then you became the vice president.
Yeah, out
Okay.
of well,
That's how promising a leader is. Mike Hubahib is. So after being PRO, you became vice president, and then after vice president, and now you're the newly inducted president of the IBP Cebu Chapter. What for you in your 3 terms of serving the IBP? What for you was the biggest, most difficult project that you have undertaken?
well, for me, it would be our legal aid activities. Why? Because it's not easy, no?
Yes.
Going town to town.
Can you tell us about legal aid? Because not a lot of people know about what we do in the legal aid. They just know na, legal aid, it's like going to a lawyer and then it's for free. Di ba? Now, you tell us how you organize one legal aid. Just one. In one Saturday, what's the labor behind a legal aid activity?
First things first, one of the difficulties in organizing a legal aid activity is getting legal aid lawyers to volunteer.
Yes.
Thankfully, we have very able, willing and able lawyers, even young lawyers, who are willing to assist both in Cebu City and Cebu Chapter.
But let me cut you on that,
Yeah.
because you said that there's so many lawyers already, 2,500 lawyers in maybe 5,000 in both chapters, and both are just even occupying the same building. Why is it so difficult for you to find volunteers?
Well, in one thing, lawyers are basically most of the time they're busy. They're busy with their practice. They're busy with work.
And their family too.
Their families
just
also.
like Attorney Jimbo was saying.
And it's very difficult to sacrifice a weekend for a family bonding weekend for a legal aid activity.
Because legal aid usually happens during weekend.
Yeah, most big legal aids usually happen on the weekends.
Okay, now you continue. You find volunteer lawyers to be volunteering in that legal aid.
Yeah.
After that,
we have to find a good location.
Okay.
A location that has electricity, because we need to set up a lot of things, printers, laptops. You need extension wires.
and why do you need that during legal aid?
In our legal aid activities, we provide a wide range of services. Aside from legal consultation, we draft documents. Documents that need printing, so we need printers.
So kung ako moadto ko sa usa ka legal aid, no? In any of the chapters, ikasulod na ko ngadto akong problema sa VAUSI. Okay, let's just say I am a victim of the violence against women and their children. And then I go to a lawyer because I wanted an affidavit made. Igato na ko sa usa ka abogado kay mga kog advice. Mo printin mo diretso?
Ito depend, no? First, mo assess man na daan ang lawyer if whatever needs ang kailangan niya. If it can be done in that setting, we're more than willing to assist.
Wow, okay.
But if it needs further scrutiny, kanang need pa og kanang need
More interview.
yeah, more interview or kanang in-depth jud na research.
So you can schedule them in another
we
time.
will refer them to the IBP, or we will refer them to legal aid lawyers
Okay.
who are willing to assist them.
So how do you do it, Attorney Mike? So nanay location, for example, atong location kay Jim sa usa ka barangay. Mostly ang legal aid ato man ang buhaton man sa kanang mga lagyo nga lugar, di ba? So usa ka bukid na ngadtoy multi-purpose hall nanay kuryente. And then you will set up there, you will set up tables na dinha. So musud ko pananglitan ang akong problema yuta. Ganahan ko nga mabahin na ang yuta tapos ako maigsoon di mo bahin. Do you entertain that kind of problem.
Yes, of course. And actually, we invite also the Register of Deeds of the province of
Oh,
Cebu.
wow, ha? So
Yeah.
the Register of Deeds, members po na, lawyers po ni sila.
Yeah.
Okay.
The head is a lawyer also.
Okay,
The husband
wow.
of the former, the past president of
Oh, and
Cebu
this is
Chapter.
attorney.
Ariel Condat. Yeah.
Okay, maupod ni siya. Lain-lain man ang Register of Deeds.
Yeah,
ha?
yeah.
So, Register of Deeds Morning Province, si Ariel Condat, na Cebu City,
City, na Mandawi,
City, na
Lapu-Lapu.
Lapu-Lapu. So, depende kung mga dagko kayong lugar, o daghan ka ay parcels of land. So, lain-lain ang Register of Deeds. Now, kaning legal aid, kung dili siya, kung walay schedule ngadto, pwede ba nga moduol ang mga tao sa inyong opisina para mangayo og tabang?
This is a secret na, it's not really a secret, it is a service na not really well known to the public na IBP provides free legal services or legal assistance to
Underprivileged.
qualified individuals.
So community kag qualified individuals, can a banker who's receiving a salary of around 75,000 a month can qualify for free legal assistance?
Technically, no.
Okay.
But there are instances wherein it's a public interest case. Maybe IBP can assist, but generally, or most of the time, we do not accept those kinds of clients.
Okay, so let's just be clear about this because the clients that IBP is receiving are those underprivileged clients, no? Unsa ang income bracket na to ani?
Well,
Attorney Mike?
there's a means and merit test that we have to. Well, technically, it's not really strictly followed. I believe we need to check also the new.
Yeah, because the means and merit test pili kuan 15,000 pesos.
around that range.
Yeah, that's pero you know we're receiving a lot of people are receiving more than 15,000 and still they're underprivileged people, diba? So I hope that the Supreme Court can look into the means and merit test of the IBP so that we can serve more and reach more people. Now, Attorney Mike, I know for a fact that you are young, okay? You're a young lawyer. As you said, 3 terms pa rin. Maybe this would be your 4th or 5th year as a lawyer.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. And now you're president already of one of the biggest, most active chapters in the country. Now, what is your take on technological advancements in the country or in your chapter?
Well, technology really plays a big part in practice, in the practice of law, and even in the services that we provide. During the pandemic, it actually fast-tracked the use of technology, especially in the video conference hearings. So, more people are now open to the idea of technology being used in practice.
But in your chapter, what are the technological advancements that you're putting in?
Actually, we actually have an app that's coming for IBP Cebu.
But there's already an IBP app right now.
There's already an IBP app, but
So will that not run inconsistent with the national IBP app?
actually no, because this one is just specifically for the services that we provide. Because usually we have services for lawyers, we have services for our constituents, for the beneficiaries, and it's manual. So we've come up with an app that to have it to have the services of IBP Cebu
In the tip
just
of your
in the tip of your
fingers.
finger.
Wow,
If you're
okay.
going to request for a certification, you just click. If
So
you're going
there
to
you
buy
go.
merchandise, you just click.
Nice. Okay, so that would be something that we would look forward to, especially for IBP Cebu Chapter members, and even not Cebu Chapter members are welcome to download the app.
yeah.
Now, as I've said, and I've asked the same question from Attorney Jimbo, what's your take on artificial intelligence? There are so many apps that is available in the App Store with Apple and with iOS and with Android, and it actually almost replaces almost all professions: architects, engineers, secretaries, and now in the future they say lawyers will be obsolete. What's your take on that, Attorney Mike, when we come back after a few of our sponsors? And so we're back right now, and I'm with two gentlemen already here in Partners in Law. And I left the question hanging, what's their take on artificial intelligence? There have been so many predictions. If you read on technological news, that one of the incoming or outgoing professions that will be obsolete in the near future, maybe in the next generation, will be lawyers, because you can actually consult and you can have your legal assistance through AI. Now, I've asked this question to Jimbo and to Mike, who are the incoming and the newly inducted presidents for two chapters, Cebu City and Cebu Province, for the Integrated Bar of the Philippines. Now, Jimbo, I'd like you to answer that question. What's your take on AI, artificial intelligence?
That's a very controversial issue, Attorney Regal. No? On one side, it's a great leap in technology that AI can actually generate information, relevant information to legal questions. But personally, my take is you cannot take out the human factor in the practice of law. The wit, the emotion, the charm of a good lawyer cannot be replaced. So, perhaps, hopefully not in my lifetime, because sometimes all we have is the wit, charm, and the emotion of a good lawyer.
So is that important for a good lawyer, Attorney Jimbo, the wit and the charm?
Yes, of course, because if you notice all the good lawyers, it's something that their confidence that they bring, their knowledge of the law, is not just computer-generated information. They have to, justice after all sometimes is an emotion, so they have to touch on that emotion in order to achieve the justice that the clients want.
Now, I'll go back to the question on charm later, but first, I'd like to ask you the same question. What's your take on AI, Mike?
Well, there are different types of AI, artificial intelligence that provides information like ChatGPT. Personally, I actually use ChatGPT when I tried experimenting with ChatGPT. I asked ChatGPT to draft a board resolution for
What's
for a client.
ChatGPT?
It's an AI. It's an online AI that sort of like a virtual assistant that you tell it you tell it to do something, like write something or draft something, and then it gives you what you want, but not. There are still some restrictions, like it cannot give you information that's illegal or something that violates
Data privacy.
yeah, data privacy or ethics.
But that's very important, because in AIs, that's one of the most controversial aspect, because our privacy might be affected, because yes, AI is already existing everywhere even today. If we are in our houses, we have CCTVs, and that's an artificial intelligence to replace security guards. No, we have AIs already even in ordering Starbucks. We have Grab, we have Lala Move, we have Food Panda, etc. So in other words, AI is already inside, but now we will be replacing lawyers. So AIs will be, it was experimented in Japan. One person will just go to a machine and she will just say her legal woes, and all the advices will come out from the computer. It's the AI who will be dictating. So right now, if I'm talking to a computer and the computer will just answer me everything, that's charming to me, and that's witty. Rather than, you talk to a lawyer and then the lawyer will charge you per hour, di ba? So do you see this happening? Will Mike, is this possible?
Well, I have to side with Press Jimbo here. You can't really remove the human factor from the practice of law, because there are, even though the knowledge of the law or data or the principles of law are can be provided by AI, it's the experience of a lawyer that is required in the practice. And there are certain principles that only experienced lawyers would be able to provide. And of course, with AI, there's no malpractice. So you can't, when you get wrong information from that AI or information that's not relevant to you, then who do you blame? So that's one of the, maybe one of the issues also.
No, I see your point, because especially in the legal practice, if the lawyer commits something wrong, or if lawyer commits a mistake, then you can file a case against that lawyer for disbarment even, di ba? But kung ang AI, so who do you
blame?
Who do you disbar?
Who do you disbar?
So you cannot also file a counterclaim against an AI. Now let's go back to charm. When we say charm, Manggod, it's a very relative thing. How do you charm a judge, Mr. Attorney Jimbo? Because you're a litigant, no? Or litigation, you're into litigation practice. So how do you charm a judge? What's your take on judges being very strict in their practice?
I think there's no secret about how to charm a judge. The best way to charm a judge is to be prepared. No.
Okay.
there's no any way around it. The best way to charm a judge is to be prepared.
So when you say prepared, you study the case, ba?
Yes, of course. You study the case. You study the facts, and you study perhaps even your opposing counsel's case. So it's best to be prepared. So
it's not true that once you graduate law school or once you finish the bar, you don't study anymore.
Oh no, that's not true. No.
So it's a continuous struggle of studying and studying.
As they say, that's why they call it the practice of law, because there's always practicing. You never master the law.
There you go. That's nice, That's very nice. You can never master the law.
Yes.
Because it changes. That's why we have an MCLE.
It changes, it evolves, and sometimes your opposing counsels are prepared better than you, so you have to prepare the next time. You have to prepare even more. So as far as I know, the best way to charm a judge is to be prepared.
Now, talking about being prepared, for you, Mike, tell me, among all the laws in our country, which do you feel needs to be abolished or needs to be amended?
Well, there is this. That might be a difficult question to answer. But right now,
let's go to more controversial or cases that have been, been placed in limelight. Concubinage. Concubinage is something. Okay, there are two crimes, diba? Adultery is being committed by the wife. Concubinage is committed by the husband. It's very hard to prove concubinage.
Yeah, it is.
Diba? Kung ang wife lang mag-holding hands og lain laki, you can already put them to jail. But for a man, dili because for a man, you have to prove among your facts, because the essential facts there is that he should be living in the conjugal property and they should be doing sex in a scandalous manner.
Under scandalous circumstances.
Under scandalous circumstances. So, do you think that should be amended?
Well, in this age that the age of women empowerment, and we have to provide equal treatment to both genders. So I agree that is one of the laws that needs to be amended, and it has to apply to the same law has to apply to both genders.
Okay, so kailangan yun ang adultery and concubinage must have the same parameters. Now for you, Attorney Jimbo, BP 22 abolished, amended?
It should be amended. It should not be abolished because
in the age wherein checks are not anymore that used, diba? It's like, you bank transfer from your phone.
Yes, but the check must still be respected. And the fact of issuing a check for its value should all still be respected. it's as a counsel for one of the banks here, it's very important. So I think it should not be abolished but amended, in fact.
Yeah, if you abolish BP 22, then banks might not anymore issue checks,
Yes.
right? Okay, what for you? Because you said amendment. So what should be amended in BP 22?
Actually, it's very hard to prosecute BP 22 now because you have to prove the fact of the receipt of a demand letter, which is difficult because
Who will receive the
yeah,
demand?
who will receive a demand letter voluntarily, knowing that there are checks that have been bound. So that issue should be addressed. And we have not yet figured that out. The best way to balance it for the accused and for those who are the complaining party. So
Because Attorney Mike, because this is an issue that I'd like to ask this, because I'm sure there are a lot of people who are viewing us right now who have the same problems in this one. Estafa versus BP 22. What's the difference?
Well, when I've had the same, I had the same problem when I had a client who issued a check, but didn't, the check bounced for some reason. In estafa, it's grounded on fraud.
Okay.
And for BP22, it's just the mere issuance of a check that you know, that you personally know to be not funded or closed, or an account is closed. That would constitute already a violation of BP22.
Oh.
For estafa, you have to establish that there
Bad
was
faith.
fraud or bad faith that was
Okay.
committed.
So even if it's in good faith, kung naka-issue lang ka og ni-bounce imong check,
Yes.
can you be liable for BP 22?
yes, because the mere act of issuing an unfunded check is already punishable under BP 22.
But they said that BP 22 daw, BP 22 morning nanguntol nga cheque ha, dili na kuno criminal.
Yes, it has been decriminalized, meaning that
Is that official? Is that
not really
or
official, but
jurisprudence ni siya?
jurisprudence based, since the act of issuing the check and the value of the check mostly it should be paid by the accused, and if unable to pay, then it should be a result to jail sentence.
Oh, okay. But credit card, let's go to credit cards now, Attorney Mike. Kung di ka mo bayad sa imong credit card, is that will you be imprisoned?
No.
Oh, why? Wow. Okay, that's one thing that you have to know, huh? That's why. Okay, why can you not be imprisoned when you will not pay your credit card bills?
Simple, because the law provides na why maprisog utang.
Oh. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. You might want to ask about it, and I'm sure daga nagka-problema pud sa ilahang mga credit cards. Now, Attorney Jimbo, kanang magharas o pangulikta sa credit card, gabiing dako manawag, buntag sayo, even on holidays, they call the client. Is that allowed?
No, actually, no. Depends on how they secured your information. No? There may be some violations of data privacy, how they secure the information, and of course there should be some civility when you collect your debt. So depending on the circumstances, it may or may not be a crime, but most likely harassment could be a crime.
Under unjust vexation lang.
Yes.
Okay. So, mo na siya kung, especially if you are harassed already, like pukawon ka in the middle of the night by your phone ringing, and they will tell you napoy uban din na hanga imong passport picture i-post in
Yes.
Facebook. Do you know this person? Naning utang aning ana-ana, di ba? So by collecting companies, so that is not allowed.
Yes, that's a violation of data privacy.
Now, is it a violation of Data Privacy Act, Attorney Mike? For example, a bank gives it to a law firm, all the contact numbers for your credit card, og ang law firm may maningil, is that a breach of data privacy?
That is a major breach in data privacy.
But what if nipirma ko ngadto sa that you are authorizing the bank to turn over, just in case that you have not collected or you have not been paying, to turn over to any of the if it's collecting arm, is that still a breach?
Well, there are certain waivers to data privacy, but there's still a limitation also, even though there is a waiver.
So okay, so ang kaning may nga tikitag data privacy mao ni ang atong mga information, personal information dili pwede i-share to anyone. Okay, let's go to data privacy now, Attorney Jimbo. What is the what are the information nga giprotect gyud sa balaod?
The primary information would be of course, your name, your date of birth, your ID numbers, and other vital and relevant information. Those are the primarily.
Blood type, is that
I'm not so sure actually.
Okay.
But I'm not so sure on that fact of the blood type. No, I have to look that up.
Diseases.
I think that's part of a data privacy diseases.
Okay.
And some other laws actually.
Okay, for example, that katong nag-COVID, ang mga
Yes.
i-share sa media kasi nagka-COVID, is that a breach?
I think there is a Republic Act that requires disclosure of communicable diseases. So I
Okay.
do not think that was a violation of data privacy, because you're in fact mandated to disclose if you have a transmissible or disease, if ever, just like COVID.
Okay. Now, when it comes to, let's go to politics now, Attorney Mike, because I'm sure CCTN doesn't allow us to talk about politics, but let's just talk about, mag-side sweep lang tayo with politics. Is IBP one of the biggest organization, because it's mandatory for lawyers to be part of it? Is IBP supporting a candidate politically?
No.
Is it not allowed?
It is prohibited.
Okay.
It's not just not allowed, it's prohibited.
That is for the official, any official endorsement of the IBP.
Yes.
So what if I am the chief of staff of a political person, Attorney J. Am I allowed to campaign?
Yes, of course. If you are the chief of
But
staff.
I'm a member of the IBP.
But it's part of your, I think, professional duties as the chief of staff that you should support who you are working for.
Okay.
Not necessarily part of your practice of law, but I think it's part of your employment.
So what is prohibited in the IBP is that if the IBP as an
As an
official
As an organization.
organization will officially endorse a political candidate.
Yes.
How about a law? Is it allowed for IBP to be advocating a law to be passed in Congress or the Senate?
I think it's not disallowed. So there are certain laws that should be passed, and in fact, it is the IBP is tasked to help in the administration of justice, to elevate the legal profession, and that would include the endorsement, or I think the lobbying for certain laws that is necessary.
So if it's allowed, to lobby in Congress, in Senate, and in all of government approach, how can you play a dual role by not being political and yet still advocating a certain legislation to be passed?
Okay. We actually, IBP Cebu is actually proposing a law for lawyers to allow lawyers to avail of the absentee voting during elections. One way to avoid the non-partisan issue or the partisan issue is to endorse it to IBP National, so that IBP National will be the one to endorse it to the Senate President or to the House of Representatives.
But
to the
isn't
Speaker.
that still a way of politicking?
Actually, no, because it's it could be a gray area, but if the idea of it is to improve the practice of law, to improve the legal profession, then there are certain
It's how you play.
Yeah.
It's how you
It's how you play it. It's how you play
yes, yes. So there are so many things that we'd like to ask questions to these two amazing lawyers who are heading the two amazing chapters of the Integrated Bar of the Philippines, Attorney Jimbo and Attorney Mike. But for parting words, this is a unique one because we will be having new lawyers by tomorrow as we will be having this as we are having this conversation. Now, what's your message for the new lawyers, Attorney Jimbo?
To our soon-to-be lawyers, first, good luck, and I hope we will all pass. And this is a wonderful and noble profession, and we will welcome you as soon as you pass the bar exams.
And for Attorney Mike, your message for those aspiring lawyers, for those who might want to become a lawyer, is it still beneficial or is it still worth it to become a lawyer at this age?
Well, I would say yes. Being a lawyer is it's bountiful. There are a lot of you can be any type of lawyer that you want. You can practice in litigation, you can be in government service, anything. Very broad kayo ang kuan sa legal profession.
So it's still worth it to become a lawyer, ladies and gentlemen, friends who are watching Partners in Law. I'd like to thank you, Jimbo and Mike, for joining me in this maiden issue of my administration as president of the Cebu Lady Lawyers Association. We hope that you will keep in touch with us, and we hope that you can still view us in YouTube, also in CCTN channels. Thank you very much for joining us. We hope to see you next week.